special moves and you're going to change the slide. So I'm John Biggs. I used to run TechCrunch here, which is a gadget site. Now it's TechCrunch Gadgets. So I'm essentially an editor at TechCrunch. I cover mostly technology, like hardware, but in this case I can also cover a lot of ways that people pitch us. And you guys are probably thinking, how do you get out of this one-horse town that you guys are stuck in? So how do you get out into the valley? How do you pitch people? How do you get into events like Disrupt, which is our event, the Next Web stuff, the Mashable stuff? How do you get onto these sites? All that other good stuff. So I'm going to basically tell you how to pitch. So we can go to the next one. So what are we covering? We're going to know the difference between a project and a business, make sure it works, know your audience, tell a story, not a lie, and be ready for change. We can go to the next one. Keep going. And keep going. There we go. So we got this is the trick I did. Go. So Kopipka is not your Bob Cha. And Goat Lover is not Facebook. So what am I trying to say here? So let's say your grandma's a business. She produces multiple things. She has lots of people working around her and for her, and she makes really good Kopipka. No, go back. Go back. So we have Facebook, which is a huge business, which has all kinds of components. Whereas the thing that I hear most out of startups, they come up to me and they say, oh, we have a website that we want to get men who love goats together with other men who love goats, and they're all going to talk about goat sex. That's our product. That's our project. So obviously Facebook has multiple projects under an umbrella of Facebook. It didn't start that way, but you basically had the ability to scale, the ability to expand in scope, in audience. Whereas goatlover.beta.com is going to have is a mess. I mean, it's for a certain group of people. So Facebook has stuff for certain groups of people, but they also have stuff for everybody. So you guys have to think big. So don't just as your grandma is not defined by the Kopipka she makes. She has many more fine characteristics. Facebook's not defined by one group on Facebook or one facet of Facebook. It's a big project. It's a business. You're selling a business and not just a project. Let's keep going. Make sure it works. So when I see something like this on a screen, I think that actually somebody did that to me when I was here. I was looking at somebody's project and they showed me some kind of command line thing. I was like, yeah, you guys are gonna take over the world. So it has to work. It has to, even if it requires you guys to spend evenings at home in your garage building this product. When you're ready to pitch and when you're ready to show it off and you're ready to talk to the press, we're ready to talk to anybody about it. Even me, just some putz who just walks in off the street. It has to work. You can't have this. You can't have a bunch of junk on a screen. It has to actually be a product that you can send a link to. Like, here's our beta. You can take a look at our beta. Don't show it off don't show off your alpha until you have a solid beta. Then you show off the beta, and then you sit down with somebody and you can tell them all about it, or they should be able to use it themselves without it crashing. That's the other big deal. We'll get some kind of product that'll crash straight to the OS, and it's a mess. And that happens all the time, and it's very embarrassing for the people. But I think the problem is a lot of people don't understand that. They're so used to being engineers. They're like, yeah, it crashes, don't worry about it. But if it crashes while I'm looking at it, I don't want to play with it. I can't recommend it to anybody. I can't write about it. I can't say, oh yeah, this will work later. So that's your deal. Should you work on your project without funding? Yes. I mean, that's what you guys are trying to do. You guys are trying to be entrepreneurs. You guys are trying to build something. Work on your project without funding. Work at wherever, Deutsche Bank or wherever you have to work, until you're solid enough and you feel that your product is good enough that you can quit your job and eventually find funding. It's not going to be the other way around. Nobody's going to come knocking on your door while you're sitting in your cubicle and say, oh, here's your $1 million. I really enjoy Goat Lover. Should you bootstrap it? Yes, you should talk to your parents, you should talk to your grandparents, you should talk to anybody in this room. I'm sure this guy has some cash.
Buying pizza for us. Yeah.
And yeah, you should bootstrap it. You should bootstrap it as much as you can, for as long as you can. I know a guy who, in Prague, he's doing something called Nelso. It's getting hot up here. He's doing something called Nelso, which is basically, it was Google Maps before Google Maps existed. And he's going around in Prague, he's taking pictures of all these things. He pays people out of his own pocket. is a fairly lucrative business in programming, but he also made this product, and he's waiting for Google to buy it. Google is actually interested in buying it. It's a slow and steady race. We're not talking a sprint. The guys, like you see the guys who made like Color and all those guys have been in the Valley for decades. Most of those guys know each other, and they're all working with each other. They have been working with each other for years, and everybody helps each other. So when you have something like Color, which is the most ridiculous piece of garbage in the world, it's $1 million. They didn't buy the product. They didn't buy that web app, or they didn't buy that app that you saw on the iPhone. What they actually bought was the talent of all those guys. Eventually, they can shut those guys, shut that project down, and they can meld them into something else and turn them and pivot. Essentially, is what they always say. Is a wireframe good enough for funding? No, because what you need, what you're offering is you're sending somebody a link to a working product. When you go to an event, when you go to Disrupt, you're showing off a working product. That's the one thing that it almost guarantees you a failure when you go to an event like Disrupt, for example. If your product doesn't work, if it's just some sort of loosey-goosey like idea. Last Disrupt, we had a guy who came up, and I think he was Russian. He was like, "This product makes Windows look better," and he didn't have any examples of how it worked. I don't know how it really got on stage. I mean, it wasn't my decision. But he said, "This product makes Windows look better." And it wasn't actually a product. It had no pictures, it had no screenshots, it had no examples. I don't think he was using a Windows laptop, so there was no way that anyone was going to be interested or buy that or make it win anything. It was ridiculous. Should you move to the Valley? No, but you should have someone ready to go there. Any one of you guys would probably go there in a heartbeat for a couple months just to hang out and actually meet people and see what's going on. Is it a difficult nut to crack? No, it isn't, because TechCrunch is right downtown in San Francisco. Everybody else is out in Palo Alto. All these guys are all around each other. So it's almost like this group right here. You guys all know each other. You guys are well aware of each other's talents. It's the same thing, but millions of people there as opposed to, I don't know, 30 guys in here. So somebody from your company, somebody from your organization, should go there and show up, show their face, see and understand who these people are. When you're ready, when you don't have a beta project or when you don't have an alpha project and you're ready to show it off, you want to show it off to you can just keep going, don't worry about it. No, go back. Go back. Was it my hands? Alright, so yeah, somebody should be ready to go there in a few months. Okay, if you don't build stuff, you're not an entrepreneur. That's the one thing I want you guys to remember. If you guys aren't building something all the time, constantly. I mean, I'm a writer. I write constantly. Singers sing constantly. I don't know. Sex addicts masturbate constantly. That's what that's their goal. So if you're an entrepreneur, you're building something. You're building a business. You're building connections. You're building business development. Now the trick is you don't want to be obnoxious about it. There's a lot of guys who will come up to you and they'll hand you their card and they'll say, "Oh, my project is this," and they'll talk your ear off for 30 minutes. No, you have an idea. You're able to explain your idea succinctly, and you're able to understand your idea all in your own head, and you're building on your idea all the time. This is your goal. This is the one thing that you're doing. If you're not ready for that, then you're probably not going to be an entrepreneur. You're probably not going to be able to pull it off. So, know your audience. So this is something stupid I found on the internet. So, yeah, this is kind of a good example. Let's go. So, VCs, they want stuff that works, they want stuff that scales, and they want stuff that will make them money, not you guys, by any stretch of the imagination. Their goal, I mean, they're not giving you 41, they didn't give Color $41 million so they could all buy Lamborghinis. They want all that money back plus interest. So essentially you could consider, they want stuff that works, obviously. You want to have an idea, and you want to have lots of stuff in the pipeline. So in many cases what you say is, this is my product, but we have plenty of other ideas that are coming down. The reason why Facebook is so successful is that there's lots of stuff inside Facebook. It's not just a social network, it's going to be a platform for buying and selling stuff. I mean, one of the tricks is that it was able to scale. They were able to put on hundreds of millions of people on this damn thing and actually get them to use it. And they want stuff that will make them money. They're not interested in your welfare, they're not interested and your inability to produce. They want somebody who can produce and make them money. So let's go. Another one. So the press, what do we want? We want an exclusive, obviously. So we want you to come to us first. You want to go to the TechCrunch or Mashable or whoever. Pick the guy you want to pick the horse you want to bet on and stick with him. We can help expand your reach. It's obviously, last time I measured, when I was running Gizmodo, we would send, well, I'll tell you a story about how we, at Gizmodo, what we did, we wrote about a thing that you put on the end of a can of oil, and it would hold the little straw into place. I don't know if you guys seen that. Can of oil, you have a little straw on the end, and you can stick it into things, and yeah, you know what I'm talking about. So it's a little piece of plastic. It cost 75 cents, and they were able to. They sold this thing. Nobody was buying the damn thing. It's a little piece of plastic that holds a little tube on the end of a can of oil. And after I wrote about it, it was probably like 2 weeks later when they suddenly realized that they were like selling these things like mad. And they actually called me and said, yeah, thank you. You saved our business, essentially, because we're going to go out of business selling these goddamn things. So we can help expand your reach. And that's one of the things, that's one of my goals. I want people to hear about new cool stuff, because that's what I do, as I said. We can help sell apps. We don't actually sell apps, but we say, go here and look at this app, and it's pretty cool. People trust us, which is to their detriment. We have seen it all. We're extremely bored by all the stuff that you guys have to show us. I have absolutely no interest in talking about anybody's startup right now. But I will. I'll sit down and I'll hear all about this stuff. And we're not as powerful as you think. So, if you don't get that big Mashable headline, if you don't get that big TechCrunch headline, just keep punching and eventually it'll come. These are your users. Let's go. They don't know what your product does unless it's perfectly clear. So think about every single great app, every single great service out there. You look at it, immediately you know what the hell's going on. You can't say to yourself, like Instagram, for example, if you guys have used that. You look at it and you say, oh, I can take a picture, oh, I can make it look funny, oh, I can send it to my friends. Well, I'm done. That's basically it. That's the reason why a lot of these guys are using Twitter and Facebook, because it gives that sort of air of utility to an otherwise piece of garbage app. Like I can share this stuff with other people, and I don't have to create a network within my app itself. But as long as the app that you're working on that's connected to Facebook and Twitter is easy to use as well, then you've got a winner. If it's very difficult to use, and this is another thing I'm going to talk about later, you're going to have a problem. So they're also fickle. So today's Instagram is tomorrow's, I don't know, MySpace. Or today's Facebook is tomorrow's, whatever, I don't know, Orkut. So things are going to change. Things constantly change. There's always a chance for somebody to build something new. Does that mean you should build something that's similar to something else? Should all you guys be building Groupon clones, which you guys probably are? No, I don't think so. I don't think that's the way to go right now. I think you guys should be thinking about new and better things. If you want to make a little bit of cash on the short term, you can feasibly do that. If you want to if you want to fulfill your goals on the long term, then you probably shouldn't. And users are your goal. Press, VCs, I don't know, all the guys in this room. No, you're not to impress these people. You're out to impress all these users. I mean, if your mom or your dad or somebody starts using your app and actually enjoys it, that's actually a very good sign. I mean, it means that human beings can actually use this stuff as opposed to nerds. So let's keep going. Tell a story, not a lie. So I've heard so many ridiculous stories. Let's keep going. So, things to remember. You're not smart. Your product isn't special. You will fail. The only thing you have to offer is your energy, experience, and skills, and VCs buy businesses, not products. So with all that in mind, how would we tell a good story? So you don't tell a story like I graduated from the Warsaw School of Economics with summa cum laude, and I am able to program in Java, in Spanish. My abilities far exceed yours and everything, possibly. My product is the best product ever. You say, this is what my product does. This is how it works. This is why our technology is far superior than anything else out there. And you shut up. You finish your story, and you don't add all this stuff. When I used to live here, we had guys coming in for interviews, and they would ask, and they would so we were hiring people, and these guys would come in and they would say that they brought Java to Poland, or that they were the first person to do robotics in Poland. And it immediately turns you off, because I mean, you realize this guy's either full of shit, or Poland is the most backward country in the world. This was 10 years ago, so it's entirely feasible. But these guys were full of it. They were full of themselves. So that's one thing. This is your product. This is your baby. You don't when you go up to somebody with your baby or your dog or your puppy, you don't say, oh well, this guy shits on paper. Like at two weeks, I got him and he's already pooping on paper. No, you say, oh, how do you like my dog? It's a very cute dog. Let it stand on its own. Let's keep going. With that in mind, tell the truth, tell the story of how the idea was formed, tell the story of how you solved the problem, and tell a good story. So how the idea was formed, what brought this about? Who are you guys? Why should I listen to you guys? How did you solve a problem? What was the problem? So all the best products, every single good product out there has a story. Like whatever, we were just at Bleakley. So Bleakley was made in 1896 or whatever, and the Bleakley survived the war by feeding, I don't know, his family on chocolate. And you just gotta have some kind of crazy Schindler's List kind of tale that the whole story of how you guys fought adversity and won. So I mean, in many cases you say like, okay, Quora. So what's Quora doing? And this is for example for you. I mean, you're basically saying to yourself, how are we going to beat Quora? Well, we saw there's a huge problem in the way that things are answered in Quora. So we need to solve that problem by using our intelligence and our experience, and everybody gets together and we create a great product, that sort of thing. And you tell a good story. So you have to know how to tell a good story. So we're going to talk about that a little later. Let's go. Be ready to change. So eventually somebody's going to tell you this. And he's clearly, he's clearly not going to know what he's talking about. But you're going to have to listen to him. It's going to be some guy, he's going to be in DC, he's going to say, oh, you guys are great. We don't want to pay you guys $1 million, but you guys have to get rid of Pete Best in the band, and he's going to have to do all this other stupid stuff, and you're going to have to change your name from the Facebook to Facebook and all this other stuff. So let's keep going. So remember, be ready to abandon the project, not the business. You can abandon the project. You can pivot, as they say now. Maybe a number of things. Be ready to go back to the workforce. Maybe this doesn't work out for you. I mean, if I hadn't gotten lucky a couple times, I'd probably be sitting in a cubicle writing, I don't know, C code somewhere. So I got lucky. Be ready to succeed. So be ready to succeed means know what you're going to do once you actually get the money that you've been looking for. Once you win the big thing, once you have the PR, once you have the press. What's your goal after that? Always have something in the hopper. Also be ready to change everything. If somebody doesn't like it, if you guys are tired of it, if you guys think it's not going to work, scrap it, start something new. Remember, it's a business. You're selling a business. You're selling your skills, you're selling your experience, you're selling yourselves. You're not selling goatlover.com. 4 Slavic habits. I had another one in there, but I didn't want to insult you guys. Failure to cooperate, bad years of experience in marketing, engineers not entrepreneurs, fear of change.
What was the 5th one?
I'll tell you later. So, as I said at the meeting, there's the saying, what is it? Polish, something like that? Polish. So all you guys, so as long as I've always come here, I've always felt, when I used to work here as a consultant, I would come and we'd have, like, all the Americans would get together, they'd have a goddamn 4th of July celebration that was the greatest ever. Nobody really cared. Nobody was out to get each other. But you put 5 Polacks in a room, and what do you get? You put 5 Americans in a room, you get Facebook. Put 5 Swiss in a room, you get a bank. Put 5 Poles in a room, and what do you get? And you guys have to change that perception. You guys have to change the sort of Borat perception of, like, my neighbor, I buy window with glass, my neighbor buys window with glass, my neighbor buys window with glass, that kind of thing.
You can hike over.
Yeah. So not everyone is an enemy. So this is another thing that you guys have to think about. This is what everybody has to think about this. Your idea isn't that great. I mean, you don't need an NDA. You don't need to have everybody sign, and everybody has to get a lawyer involved. Your idea is good. And if you're good enough, you're going to be able to produce your idea and finish your idea fairly quickly. It's not going to be a problem. Not everyone is out to get you. Not everyone is out to steal your stuff. Don't worry about it. Again, put 5 poles in a room. You guys, that's what you guys are here for. You guys are proving to me, actually, and I've been here, I keep coming back to Poland for some goddamn reason, that you guys are able to pull it off. And this is the first time that I've seen something like this in Poland. Quite literally, the first time that I've seen actual people excited about entrepreneurship, people excited about startups, people excited about technology that isn't technology that they have to sit there and, I don't know, handle 5,000 bank receipts for some piece of garbage bank out in Ripon or wherever. It's very impressive. So, if you can't tell me what your project does in 1 minute, you fail. I've had so many times that I get pushed into a corner and I hear about a project literally for 30 minutes, 40 minutes. I can't go anywhere. This guy's got me in a corner. I actually have a signal that I have on my guide when I get stuck. And they come and get me, but usually it's, that's why Mike Arrington doesn't like to go anywhere. Because if he were to walk into this room, you guys would probably be like, you'd be climbing on his back. It'd be like Gulliver's Travels. Prepare a 40-second pitch. You need an elevator pitch, obviously, but we're talking much, much shorter than an elevator pitch. Any elevator pitch is actually too long. You have to explain who you are, what you do, and why you're important to the person that you're talking to. You have to know, first off, this requires a certain amount of understanding. Like I got a pitch today, some guy had some kind of stupid tiny text thing that he was like, it's like a voice text or something stupid. And he technically knew who I was, he understood what I was writing, but he assumed that I had just started at TechCrunch recently. And that I had left Gizmodo, I guess, recently too. So that means he didn't read Gizmodo, because I haven't been there for 5 years. And he doesn't read TechCrunch, because I've been there for 5 years. He doesn't know who the hell I am, and he just understands, just generally, that I kind of am interested in something that he maybe is related to. So know who you're talking to. If you know that somebody's going to come to your party or whatever that you want to talk to, figure out who it is. And you can approach these guys. These guys may be running back and forth. So, for example, somebody was asking me, how do you approach like a Fred Wilson or like a Marissa Mayer or somebody at one of these events? Remember, these guys are very busy. They don't want to talk to you. But they will listen to you. If you can speak intelligently and very, very quickly, they're going to listen to you for at least a short period of time before their security pushes you out of the way. A lot of these guys, I actually saw Steve Jobs. So this is an alternate example. This is how you'll never talk to Steve Jobs. What happens at Apple events is that when Steve comes in, all the PR people make a line, like a little hallway for him to walk through. And all the press are just outside of this hallway. And I was talking to a PR person. She's like, "Oh, well, there's Steve. Hold on a second." And she stood there like she was like guarding the Pope or something. And so you'll never talk to him, but you can talk to almost any other human being on Earth, as opposed to that. So remember, 40-second pitch. People don't want to hear all this stuff. And also have a card ready. Have your link on it, and say, "This is what we do. Can I send you more information?" And they'll say, "Yeah, maybe." And they'll give you a fake email address. Engineers are not entrepreneurs. Anything else other than preparation for your projects, any other like all your making it really fancy, anything else is sort of masturbation. Anything else that you guys are doing, you got to be focused, laser focused on the project at hand, the opportunities at hand. What's coming up? What can you do? If you're sitting there, you're tweaking your application for, I don't know, 500 hours straight for no good reason, when you're not talking to anybody, when you're not getting it out there, it's not going to work. What you need to do is you need to be ready to start. You need to be ready to start talking about this thing at almost any time during the timeline. User experience. This is the traditional Polish user experience. I'm not saying you guys aren't good at user interface. I'm saying you guys aren't good at user experience. User experience can be almost anything. It can be how things flow, how things look on the screen. You guys have to be sticklers for perfection, and also make sure that you have somebody read the damn thing before you put it up there. I've seen too many apps that come from too many countries that are like push button go fun, and that's it. And they have some horrible like the description is bad, or the writing is bad, or the UI is really poor. You press a button and nothing happens. For example, we were on that touchpad today. And this is a crazy example, but the user experience, somebody didn't test this on the touchpad. When you open it up from some way, you can't make the damn birds fly. And you can't hold down the screen because you think that that's what's going to help. That doesn't work because it just makes the screen bigger. So you have the birds and you can't fly the birds. That's a user experience error that's massive, and nobody paid attention to that. Have somebody on the team that works with that. Have somebody, or hire a consultant. Get somebody who knows user experience to help you guys. So that you don't want this. Hire a native speaker to do marketing. I know that Boris here did his own marketing recently, which was an interesting. The user experience expert. I'm trying to find somebody who's good at this stuff. There are plenty of people out there. There are plenty of user experience experts. May or may not be snake oil, but they can help you out. I know a guy. Don't get caught up in textures and 3D gimmicks. This happens a lot in Europe. You have great designers, you have great graphic guys, because they're afraid of writing. They're afraid of user experience. They're afraid of labeling things and figuring things out that way, so they can make some kind of crazy looking like 3D box or whatever that'll give you an experience. Fear of change. So here in Poland, you get a good job, you get benefits, you get a company car, and if you work for a company and you look like that guy, and if you work for a startup, you wear hipster pants, you have no money, and you work a lot. So I don't know what's better. I think I like a company car and lunch. So the decision there is: Are you guys ready to change? Are you guys ready to quit your cushy job at wherever? And maybe you're not even having a cushy job. So God bless. So you're ready for your hipster pants. Again, as I said before, if you don't build stuff, you're not an entrepreneur. What we want to see is people who are excited about the products that they're making, excited about the things that they feel that they're best at. I want to see people who are excited about telling me what they're really good at. And they need to be on point. So they need to be ready to talk about it. It needs to be something really, really interesting. I mean, if you were to walk up to somebody on the street and tell them your product, and they don't care about it, how am I supposed to care about it? How is the rest of the world supposed to care about it? How are the users supposed to care about it? You need to be able to explain the way that your product works in a way that's interesting, topical, and I guess fascinating to the average audience. So that's all I have to say. Thank you very much, and hopefully just drop me a line. I'm John at TechCrunch.com, or it's at John Biggs at Twitter or whatever, and see if I can help you out or whatever down the line. And those are just generally my recommendations for a healthier, happier you. All right, thanks a lot.